versus Conor Benn. The fight is finally here, and right now I am watching the co-main event, which is Anthony Yarde versus Lynden Arthur. They're fighting at light heavyweight. Anthony Yarde is 26-3, and Lynden Arthur is 24-2. Between rounds, we're cutting to the change room. Looks like Conor Benn was getting wrapped up. Surprisingly, or perhaps not so surprisingly, Chris Eubank Sr., in fact, escorted Chris Eubank Jr. To the arena. So was he in fact trolling us all along? Apparently whatever bad blood or issues they had between father and son have since been resolved. Okay, so in the Yarde-Arthur fight, we are in the fourth round of 12. This matchup between Yarde and Arthur is scheduled for 12 rounds in the light heavyweight division. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Are you excited for this main event between Chris Eubank and Conor Benn? I believe this fight between Yarde and Arthur might be for a belt since it's going 12 rounds. Both men fight out of orthodox stance. Anthony Yarde is an interesting fighter, a little bit unconventional perhaps. We're in the fourth, but both are still sort of feeling each other out in terms of they're throwing lots of single jabs. They are changing the target area, head and body, but right now we're getting mostly jab exchanges between these two orthodox fighters, Anthony Yarde and Lynden Arthur. Hi Wilson, how are you? Hello Jellybean. How's it going, guys? Are you fight fans? We're here watching a fight live in the UK. It's the co-main right before Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. I'm good. How are you doing, Jellybean? Pops, good to see you. Thank you for saying hi, you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Are you guys boxing fans? Are you MMA fans? Who's here? Say hello. I'm glad you guys are doing well. Thanks for answering, Jellybean. All right, we have Anthony Yarde. Just got touched with a hard jab from Lynden Arthur, and again, another hard jab from Arthur lands. Looks like Yarde is trying to parry and then come back with a counter punch. Oh, systemic noise. My opinion on Anthony Smith. I actually did not do a little short in that, but I was tempted to. I kind of don't want to see Anthony Smith fight anymore. I think he was done a few fights ago. So, you know, I've spoken on how I feel fighters should do a farewell fight, and this, I mean, I don't know anything about who Anthony Smith is facing, but I wish he would just move off to like a smaller promotion, not the UFC, and, you know, let the UFC let him out of his contract. He still probably has a contract to do the commentary with them. He's great at that. Let him go do a farewell fight on some untelevised more minor promotion and get the W. I appreciate the compliment on the hair. Thank you, Jellybean and Pops. All right, guys. Thank you for the love. As always, you're free to leave a super chat or a super thanks, or send some jewels or gems or whatever the heck those things are called, if you know how to do that, because I sure don't. And remember, make sure you've hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already. Also, feel free to gift a membership or join as a member if you haven't done so already. Appreciate you very much, Jelly Bean. I love you guys too. Hi, Sam in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, welcome. Are you watching the live fights going on in the UK right now? All right, so now we're in the 5th round of 12 between Yard and Arthur. In this round, they're starting to fight a closer distance, but now they're starting to clinch up a bit. Oh, you get Arthur with a few body shots getting off hard. Thank you for the love, you guys. Now, I think both of these fighters, both Yard and Arthur, would do well if they would double up on their jabs a bit. They're both throwing single jabs, sometimes in succession, but you know, one jab by itself isn't a good way to set somebody up. All right, there we go. Yard just threw a double jab. I'm curious to see if Yard is just going to continue to rely on his incredible athleticism, or if he's going to start to put his punches together a bit. Nice defensive moves right now by Anthony Yard. He's alternating between a high double guard to more of almost a tie guard to a half shell guard. So interesting choice from Anthony Yard. Just under a minute and a half to go here in the 5th of 12 rounds between Anthony Yard and Arthur Lynden. Or Lynden Arthur, sorry. Arthur sticking with that hard power jab. He's landing to both the head and the body of Anthony Yard. Yard sort of not really posing and posturing, but making lots of movement, both with his feet, his hands, and his upper body to try to feint his opponent out. Arthur is the more steady of the two in terms of movement. He's not making any extra movements. He's just waiting for his moment, throwing his jab out there. And that is landing. Jab is landing well for Lynden Arthur. Thank you guys. Thank you for the love. Really appreciate it. Jelly Bean, how's the match going? I can't see it. Andrew says this is a poor main event and I'm from London. Well, here's the thing. Neither fighter is like an A-class fighter. That's for sure. They're probably more like C-class fighters. So in that sense, I agree. It's also like how often do you see competitive matchup between basically a middleweight and a welterweight, or a middleweight and a junior middle. You know, with that size difference, it's hard to call it competitive. It's competitive because they're both not A-class fighters, if that makes any sense. Andrew says, I'm glad I'm watching from home. It's a nice stadium to visit. Oh, cool. Is that far from where you're at? The stadium, that is. Jelly Bean is asking how long I'd liked MMA. For quite a while now. I mean, I think I started watching after the sort of first era where it was almost more of a circus act, and then it became just like tough man contest after that. So once MMA got to the point where the striking got better, then I was more of a fan, because initially when it came out, if you remember, guys just did the front crawl to charge at each other and then try to get somebody on the ground and finish them off. So I couldn't watch that, because as a boxer, it's just such horrible technique that I didn't want to watch that. All right, here we go. 6th round out of 12 between Anthony Yard and Lynden Arthur. The men have fallen to a clinch, then separate out. At this point, I would say I think I would give Lynden Arthur the edge, but I don't think he's the A side. So That might be tough for him to try to eke out a decision. Jellybean's asking, did I like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight? No. I don't like that. The second guy you mentioned. He's not. I mean, people say, well, he really trains. He's not a fighter. Yeah, I agree. All right, back to Anthony Yard and Lynden Arthur. All right, Yard starting to open up a little bit now. Throwing right hand, left hook, but then they fall into a clinch. This seems like it's going to be a bit of a pattern in this fight where Yard crowds his punches just a little bit, so then it's easy to clench up. Thank you for the love, you guys. Appreciate it. Okay, we're still clinched up. Arthur breaks apart by starting off with a couple of body shots. Appreciate the love, you guys. Say hi to let us know who's here. Right now we got Andrew here and Jellybean. Who else is here? Good inside fighting at the moment. Men choosing to fight in close. Arthur getting off 2 nice body shots. Yard returning with short little left hooks on the, or left right hooks on the inside, and that's the round. Hey Sean Jones, good to see you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. So now we're cutting to a ringside interview. We're talking to Kell Brook. Hey Shug, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, this sounds like this is going to be fun. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Did you guys catch any of that Liam Smith versus McKenna fight? I even though McKenna basically swept every round, I think Liam Smith gave a good accounting of himself because he was game the entire fight. And he was fighting. He was fighting back the entire time. He got his punches in there. It just wasn't enough to defeat McKenna, who's really skillful. He's one of those tall, lanky fighters, and he really makes great use of pivoting and angles. So it's a tricky type of fighter to fight. McKenna also seems fine with fighting on the inside, even though he's one of those longer, lankier fighters and could win simply by staying on the outside. All right, back to the action between Yard and Arthur. Yard with a nice 1-2. Men are standing more toe-to-toe at this point. Kind of tied up, not able to punch, so ref separates them. Hi, Jellybean. Appreciate you saying hi. Clenched up again. Ref separates them. Again, men are standing toe-to-toe, trying to fight on the inside, but getting clenched up with Arthur taking an overhook. There he goes again. It's hard to tell who's initiating the clinching, really. Whether it's Yard reaching for the underhook or Arthur then taking the overhook. We seem to be... Oh, now the ref's talking to both of them. Telling him, I guess. I'm assuming he's saying he doesn't want them to clench up so much. Okay. Hi, Stephen. How are you doing? Hey, Sugar's saying, I feel sentimental seeing Senior with Junior. That's funny. I have a great relationship with my dad. Truth is, if my dad told me to walk the moon with no gear, I'd try it. Something About father-son bond. I get it. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see them walk in, so it made me kind of wonder, was Senior trolling us all along? All right. Um, Yard, Arthur, trying to fight a little bit more at distance now, but again, they fall into a clinch, and honestly, it looks like Yard is initiating that clinch. So men standing toe to toe, both men will get off 2 punches and then they fall back into a clinch. Just did it again. So Yard seems to like to pose and change up his guard. Double guard, switch to shell guard, come back. He also seems fond of throwing those lead right hands. Again, they're toe to toe, and that's the round. Sugar saying Yard has learned not to charge in on Arthur, but I don't know if his feet are as educated as Arthur's. He seems like one of those fighters. Anthony Yard seems like one of those fighters who's super athletic and they know it, and they kind of rely on their athleticism perhaps a little bit too much rather than just working on boring fundamentals. Thank you so much for the compliment, Paul. Good to have you on our live. We're here watching the Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn undercard or co-main event. It's the only fight remaining before the main event, and that is Anthony Yard versus Lynden Arthur. Being broadcast live from the Tottenham Arena, which is, I think Andrew said, about an hour from him. It looks like a cool arena. It looks like it's one of those that has a roof that's open. Shug says drilling can be monotonous, but it pays off. It pays off in meaningful fights, or when you're hurt and need to fall back on fundamentals. Absolutely. Okay, so here we go with the 8th out of 12 rounds. Again, these men are falling into a clinch. They break out of it with body shots, close uppercuts, short rights. Okay, now they're fighting it mid-range. See, when they're standing toe-to-toe like this, it would be helpful if either one of them knew how to do a little quarter step and pivot. So that would open up their lead hand would be opened up to the center line, but neither one of them seems to be doing that. All right. Yard misses with a couple of inside uppercuts. Lynden comes back with a couple body shots, clenched up once again. Hi, Jellybean. Appreciate you saying hi. See, when Yard does this thing where he sticks his both hands out, it shows me again that's not a good boxing fundamental. That's not something any trainer is going to tell you to do. So, hey, Jellybean, those are really cute emojis. Appreciate it. Steven, I can't believe boxers don't realize you can't cut the weight you naturally gained your whole career, especially in your 30s. What do you think about catch weights? Well, in boxing, there's so many weight divisions. I don't really see the need for a catch weight. If you're referring to this specific fight between Eubank and Benn, I mean, if I were on Benn's team, I would have said, hey, come down to 157, 158 or something. I would have asked for 2 or 3 more pounds, which I think they originally had asked for, like when they're first going to match up a couple of years back. But, I mean, that's just me, you know. And then I don't know if Eubank's team just refused to do that, so that's why they just said, okay, we'll meet you at 160. Right, Anthony Yard versus Lynden Arthur. Now again, we have both men toe-to-toe. Arthur's got his back against the ropes, trying to work his way off the ropes. But again, they're a little bit too square to each other to be effective. They have to figure out how to cut the angle, even on the inside. Just rolling and weaving is not quite enough to get a good angle on somebody when you're at that close quarters. Thanks for the love, you guys. Really appreciate it. All right, so that's the round. Now, this is going to be kind of a tough fight to score, I think. We're cutting to interview of Chris Eubank. Never shy on camera. He's wearing some sort of brown leather with a woolly collar. I didn't catch what he just said in any case. Shug says, this part of the fight reminds me of Porter Thurman. Porter was doing good work, but he was smothering too much of his work and it cost him down the stretch. Yeah, you got to know how to not only just work toe to toe, but also how to get out of there if you want to just change up what's happening. Nice jab from, nice double jab from Anthony Yarde, but then he misses with that. When he misses with that right hand, that's when they sort of fall into a clinch. Right, Arthur with a jab to the body. Nice jab, nice power jab by Arthur. Yeah, interesting. Yard's not really clear on how to fight on the inside, I don't think. Because he's trying to parry and whatnot. Okay, see, so now he's standing square to Arthur on the ropes. Okay, there he did a little shuffle step. He needs to do a little bit more of that type of motion when Arthur's up against the ropes like that. Okay, nice right uppercut by Yarde. Now here, Lynden would do well to just pivot and get off the ropes because it's never a good optic when you're the one with the back on the ropes. Okay, he tried to land a nice little short left hook there, but he's getting caught with these uppercuts on the inside. Okay, now he worked his way off the ropes, which is what we want to see. Oh, but Yarde definitely wheels him around again and puts him back on the ropes. Oh, nice pivot shuffle by Yarde right there. So that's what I would want to see more of on the inside. Okay, get the shoulder. Here, Yarde's getting the better simply due to the volume. I don't know if I'm tired at this point. But Yarde can win this simply by just touching him. Doesn't have to throw hard, just by getting more volume in. Right, good little left hook by Lynden Arthur. He also snuck in a little left hook right hand, but he's just not being active enough with his back on the ropes. So if you're going to put yourself on the ropes, it has to be for a reason, and you have to have a plan. Just being defensive on the ropes or in the corner as he is right, this is really bad position for Lynden. All right, nice left uppercut on Lynden, but Yarde is able to continually land little right hands and just keep peppering him with these shots that, again, don't have to be hard. But he knows exactly where his target is, which is right in front of him, so he doesn't have to expend any energy or any brain energy trying to figure out where Lynden Arthur is. All right, so Yarde definitely took that round. Big Dog says, who's fighting now? Anthony Yarde is fighting Lynden Arthur. They're fighting at light heavyweight. This is the co-main event before Conor, Benn, Chris Eubank. And we are about to be in the closing rounds of this 12-round fight. This is boxing in the UK at Tottenham Arena. Thank you guys for all the love and the smiles and everything. Really appreciate it. Remember, you're always welcome to leave a super chat or gift a membership or join the membership yourself. All you got to do is go to the channel page and click on join. Yeah, Stephen, yes, that is a portrait. That is a portrait of Joe Louis, one of my favorite fighters. Those are my paintings. You can see more of those on the channel if you look under the My Art playlist. There's also links there if you are interested in looking at more of my art or even purchasing some of it. Okay, here we go. We are in the 10th round of 12, so we got 3 more rounds to go between Anthony Yarde and Lynden Arthur. And once again, Lynden Arthur puts himself on the ropes, close to the corner. Anthony Yarde is doesn't have to be too skillful here to land his shots, really, because Arthur's just trying to clinch up a bit and get the occasional shot in. Arthur just missed with the left hook. Yarde keeps posting on his head with his jab hand and then trying to come back. Oh, good little right uppercut left hook from Arthur, but Yarde comes right back with 4 or 5 punches. Nice little left hooks from both men. They're starting to clinch up a little bit here, shoulder to shoulder. Again, I'm perplexed as to why Lynden Arthur is choosing to put himself on the ropes like this. This is not a good look for him, and he's not using it to any advantage. He's giving these rounds away to Anthony Yarde by putting himself on the ropes like that. Jellybean is asking if I'll be live sometime else. Might take a little break and then do another live for UFC. I am interested in the main and co-main. All right, here in this 10th round of 12, we have a minute to go between Anthony Yarde and Lynden Arthur. This entire round, Yarde has had Arthur's back against the ropes in the exact same spot. They haven't moved, taking up very little real estate of the ring. In fact, I think literally they fought this entire round in this little phone booth in the neutral corner. And for sure, Yarde is taking this round. I'm not sure if Lynden just figures he'll get a KO from this position. He is covering up decently, and he is moving his head and upper torso, but that alone isn't going to win him the round, and it's not going to win him the fight. So I don't know. Did he hurt his foot or something? Hurt his ankle? Hurt his knee? Is that why he's choosing to be stationary? All right. Arthur got off 2 good body shots and a right hook, but for sure, again, Yarde swept that round. Oh, Stephen, thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you like some of my artwork. But yeah, definitely check it out. You can see them like in more detail on my YouTube channel. And then from that link, it'll take you to a website where you can see them full screen size. All right, here we are. We're about to head into the championship rounds of this light heavyweight matchup between Lynden Arthur and Anthony Yarde. At this point, I would say it's Yarde should take the decision. Not sure why Arthur is choosing to stand in one spot with his back on the ropes. Hopefully his corner gives him some good advice about what to do in these final 2 rounds. Okay, here we go in this light heavyweight matchup between Anthony Yarde and Lynden Arthur. Yarde using kind of a posting, I wouldn't even call it a jab, he's just posting his jab hand out there. Comes over with the right hand and misses. If he could straighten that right hand out, that would be a great asset for him. Men fall into a clinch. Arthur gets off 2 good body shots, but then just kind of shells up. Both men trying to punch with their free hand. Oh, nice right uppercut left hook by Arthur. Oh, so Arthur's starting to come alive now. Yarde is opening up with body shots, so is Arthur. But they are still standing toe-to-toe. Yarde is maneuvered Arthur towards the ropes once again, starting to open up with body shots. Yard got off a nice little right uppercut up in close. Some lead right hands. Right body shot from Yard. Yard with these little peppery uppercuts. Again, Arthur putting himself with his back on the ropes. Not a good position to be in. Yard landing these little inside left hooks and right uppercuts. All right, Arthur with a nice little short right uppercut. Again, the men are standing toe to toe, head to head, shoulder to shoulder, pretty much. Interesting tactic. They're clinched up with Arthur against the ropes. Both men are trying to punch with their free hand, but it's definitely Anthony Yard that's getting more volume in terms of punch output. Oh, nice little pivot step by Anthony Yard. And Arthur gets in a right uppercut left hook, but simply not enough to get this round to go in his favor, I don't think. We got about half a minute to go here in the 11th of 12 rounds. 12 rounds. Hi, Anthony. How are you doing? Welcome to our live stream. Are you a boxing fan or an MMA fan? Or both? It looks like Arthur is going to finish out this round with his back against the ropes, close to the red corner, just trying to shell up while Yard peppers him with punches, both of the head and body. Oh, Lynden just got in a right uppercut, small left hook, right before the bell. Here we go, right before the final round. I'm not sure if this is a conditioning issue or... I'm trying to listen in on the corner work, but the noise from the crowd is just a little bit too loud for me to make out what Lynden Arthur's corner is saying. Oh, Anthony, you're a boxing fan. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you're watching the fight. Who do you have ahead here? Who do you guys have winning this fight? I got Anthony Yard. I'm really curious as to why Lynden Arthur is choosing to put himself on the ropes for all these rounds. He does look a little bit tired, to be honest. Yeah, I would say Yard is winning for sure. Nice one too by Arthur. I guess he knows at this point, hopefully his corner told him, yeah, you need a knockout if you want to win this fight. All right, they fall into a little grappling there for a moment. Lynden Arthur starting to come alive here with 1-2 and 2 body shots, but he gets counter shot. He gets a counter shot from Yard. Nice little half step by Yard. Right there again to change the angle up. Good little left hooks by Yard. And once again, Mr. Arthur is up against the ropes. Oh, he just pushes his way off, but Yard manhandles him back onto the ropes. They're standing toe to toe right now. Ref separates them. Momentarily, they fall back in together. Clinched up once more. But again, it's Yard that maneuvers Arthur back over to the ropes in the neutral corner. Nice little left hook. Just constant volume from Yard in terms of punching. Again, they don't look like they're hard punches, but they don't need to be. Little right uppercut to a little half step by Yard. It's when he does that little half step to his right that he opens up the center line on Lynden Arthur. And Lynden Arthur's making no attempt to get himself out of this corner. This is the last round. Short little left hook lands for Arthur. A nice right uppercut by Yard. Left hook, right hook by Yard. Double left hook. Double right hand by Lynden. We got less than a minute to go here in this 12th round. Both men standing toe-to-toe right in the neutral corner. Lynden Arthur with his back against the ropes. And Yard maneuvers him around to the other side, but Arthur puts himself back into the same spot in the neutral corner with his back against the ropes. Nice little right uppercut by Arthur. This is not going to be enough, though, because Yard has just far outlanded him, even though they're not power shots. Lynden trying repeatedly. Oh, nice body shot left hook by Lynden. But this is just not enough. Not enough. Good fight, but I would love to know why Lynden Arthur fought the way he fought that fight, because it's an odd choice of strategy for me. All right, so I'm gonna guess that Yard will take this decision with a pretty wide margin. Are you guys gonna watch the UFC fight later? So apparently these two have met before, at least once, maybe twice, I don't know. And Anthony Yard KO'd him previously. Yard has also lost to Arthur Beterbiev, and Lynden Arthur has lost to Dimitri Bivol. So that's kind of interesting. Lynden Arthur also has defeated Liam Cameron, who just lost in a horrible stoppage to Ben Whitaker. That was just such a letdown after all the sort of build up in this rematch. Anyways, here we have they're showing us Chris Eubank Jr. warming up in the back with Jonathan Banks. Now, I did mention in my pre-fight breakdown that I do have a lot of respect for Banks, both as a fighter and as a trainer. I was able to see Banks fight. I think it might have been in his last fight, if not in one of his last fights. He fought at Madison Square Garden. I believe he might have been a late replacement, and I could tell by his body language and his demeanor that he knew he was the B-side. He knew he was gonna not get the decision, but he fought well in spite of that. And at that same time, I believe he was training the Klitschko's, kind of taking over for Emmanuel Stewart. Yeah, WBA light heavyweight intercontinental champion. That was a unanimous decision for Anthony Yard, and I think the right man won that fight. To my children, hi, welcome to our live. You say I think Benn knocks Eubank out in 5 rounds. Okay, yeah, and one of my friends said the same thing. I'm rooting for Benn. I'm still curious. I made my little short my video about the whole weight business, and I'm sort of wondering why they chose to come in as light as they chose to come in. I'm talking about Conor Benn, because presumably he had enough time to put on some quality lean muscle mass, but that didn't happen apparently. It does take a lot of work to put on lean muscle mass. It takes a lot of work both in the gym and in your nutrition. You have to force yourself to eat, basically, if you want to put on lean muscle mass, because you have to eat more than you're comfortable eating. your body's gonna know, like, okay, I'm comfortable eating this much. That's enough to maintain yourself. But you gotta force the issue a little bit. So it's eating becomes more of a job than it does a pleasure. So Anthony M says that was a good fight. Yes, it was a good fight. That was an entertaining fight. Would love to hear from both Lynden Arthur and from Anthony Yard post fight their thoughts. Cheers, you guys. Drinking another blood orange hop water, one of my favorite drinks. Anthony M, I'm going to go with Conor Benn. I'm definitely rooting for Conor Benn. How about you guys? What do you think? Are we going with Benn or Eubank? Let us know before this fight starts. Right now we're at commercial break, so good time for everybody to chime in. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. All right, so Anthony M is going with Chris. I think To All My Children's also going with Chris. We got Stephen L. Or I. Sorry, Stephen. So far we got two people going with Conor Benn. Oh, sorry. We got one person going with Conor Benn. We got one person going with Chris Eubank. Let us know. Welcome to everybody who's joining us on this live. We are here to watch Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Right now we're at commercial break. We just saw Anthony Yard win the WBA Intercontinental belt at light heavyweight. He defeated Lynden Arthur by unanimous decision. I think that was pretty not controversial for a change, perhaps, but I think we all agree that Anthony Yard was the rightful winner in that fight. Simply had more volume than Arthur, and Arthur, for whatever reason, chose to remain on the ropes a lot. Stephen I or L says, I think Eubank will be a shell of himself because he shouldn't be fighting at that weight. I think Benn wins. Well, the thing is, Eubank has fought at 160 at least 4 or 5 fights. So, I don't know. Like, he's made 160 before. Now, he may not have been subjected to a rehydration clause. I don't know the circumstances of his other fights. But unless he let himself go really badly between his last fight and this fight, the weight shouldn't have been an issue for him. And to be honest, I think Eddie Hearn is a bit of a carnival act in a sense, like he's that circus ringmaster kind of thing. And so he's going on and on about Chris Eubank didn't make weight. It was 0.05 of a pound. Guys, you can go to the bathroom and lose 0.05 of a pound. I'm not sure why Chris Eubank chose not to. Again, according to Eddie Hearn, it's because he showed up to the weigh-in late, so they didn't have enough time to go lose 0.05 of a pound. But I sort of beg to differ. I also think that Chris Eubank figured, they're not going to cancel the fight of 0.05 of a pound, and he's right. They probably wouldn't even cancel the fight for 3.5 pounds because there's just too much money on the line here. Nobody wants this fight to be canceled. All right, now we're cutting to backstage. Got Conor Benn putting on his ring attire, his robe and whatnot. Sponsored by Everlast, of course. Jim says the stadium is packed. Are you there? Are you close by? Yeah, that's so interesting to me that this is such a sellout. And as I said, neither one of these fighters are Class A fighters. They're more like Class C fighters, but it's just all the build up and the family history. Um, and the thing is, they're both game fighters, so we don't need to see someone. We don't need to see two A-class fighters if they're not willing to throw down, right? We just want to see guys that come to fight, as we say. So I think both of these guys are going to come to fight. Steven says, I don't have a TV, so I'm thankful when you call the fights. Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. All right, so we're still waiting for this main event. I'm thinking we've got a few more minutes to go. We just saw a little bit of Conor Benn hitting the mitts in the back. I think his team is wise to have him kind of bundled up the way they do, simply because you want to keep him warm and you want to have him break a sweat. You want him to get in the ring having broken a sweat. It's always better, I think, when a fighter has a few beads of sweat on their brow before they step in the ring. You don't want to warm up in your first round. You want to already be warmed up. Okay, now we're coming to backstage where Chris Eubank is putting on, getting himself geared up, getting his cup taped up by his assistant trainer. Now he's going to put his trunks on. Don't know if he likes cutting it close, meaning in terms of time. Remember, he was late. He was 1 hour late for the weigh-in. You would think, if you're the one that had to cut weight, that you want to get it over with ASAP. I would also think that Chris Eubank, since he holds that IBO belt, he'd be the guy that gets to step on the scale first, in theory. So I'm not sure why they chose to show up 1 hour late. All right, so now we're doing a little couture in the back change room of Chris Eubank Jr. They're putting his trunks on him. Looks like he's going to be wearing white with red trim. I believe Conor Benn is wearing sparkly black. So, in terms of fashion statement. Okay, so Steven is saying, I really haven't watched either Eubanks or Benn, but I like Eubanks Sr. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, he's quite the character. And of course, so their two fights were absolutely legendary, which I think, that certainly adds to the intrigue in terms of this fight between their two sons. All right, we are taking a look at, as somebody noted, packed stadium. Here we go, Michael Buffer with the announcements. All right, so I think we're going to listen to God Save the King. Absolutely brilliant composition. God Save the King, God Save the Queen. Why is that? It's fairly straightforward for the average person to sing. It's not that long, and it's fairly straightforward to also harmonize and write a decent instrumental arrangement for it. It doesn't take a lot of musical skill to play this. It doesn't take a lot of skill to sing it. So here we go. Michael Buffer about to announce the main event. We have Turkey in the ring also. Looks like we have somebody holding the ring belt in the ring. if that is in fact the ring belt, I don't know that either one of these gentlemen are quite up there for a ring belt, but I'm not sure exactly what belt is on the line for this fight. It's somewhat irrelevant, given that the massive amount of public appeal has nothing to do with the fact that there is or there is not a belt on the line. All right, whoever is making these unsavory messages should probably just stop, because if the YouTube algorithm is catching you, it's got to be pretty bad. All right, so Conor Benn's making his way to the ring. Conor Benn, 23-0 with 15 knockouts, and or is it 13 knockouts? And he weighed in at 155 and a half or 156 and a half, but he had on a huge piece of jewelry, which I think weighed weighed a significant amount, provided I assume it's not some of that cheap hollow stuff. Okay, so now we're looking at oh, they're singing Ready or Not. Conor Benn and Nigel Benn. Oh, I see. They're putting on a little show here for us. Conor Benn is going back and forth in front of these singers. I don't know if I like these circus act ring walks. I mean, in all honesty, I think you should just let the fighter get into the ring and get ready. Stephen Z says probably about time for a prediction. Eubank in 7. Okay, so I think we now have 2 people going for Eubank, 1 person going for Benn. Yeah, everybody else, if you want to let it be known, make your prediction now before this fight starts. Hi, Nebula from New Zealand. You have Nebula saying no idea. Yeah, it is a bit of a mystery just because there's a bunch of factors, right? Like Benn coming in. Right, sorry, I don't know if that's my internet or it's YouTube, but in any case, I was saying a lot of intrigue in this fight because we don't know how much did Conor Benn weigh this morning. If he weighed in at 155 and a half, that implies to me he was already under 160 because he's not going to cut down to like 4 pounds under the weight limit. So if you're already going to weigh in at your walk around weight, you're not going to gain much more weight between the weigh-in and the fight. It'll simply be just whatever you would normally gain during the course of the day, which isn't going to be more than a couple of pounds. Simply from eating and again, rehydrating, but not from being dehydrated, just rehydrating from, the course of your everyday. Eubank, on the other hand, definitely had to rehydrate. All right, so now we got this bot thing that I need to block. All right, Conor Benn in the ring in his sparkly black robe, pacing about. I think it's wise of him to have that hoodie and everything on. It looks like that's an open roof stadium, so since it's about 10 p.m., I'm sure, and it's, we're still in April, I'm sure it's not toasty warm in there. Steven says, do I think Liam Smith KO'd Eubanks because of weight? No, I think, I in my breakdown, I explained why I think Liam Smith KO'd Eubanks. Steven Z says, Hearn said he'll come in at 163 or so, but no idea. Yeah, I don't know where Eddie gets all these ideas. Like, why would he gain 5 pounds unless you didn't eat breakfast before he weighed in for some reason, which again seems like a weird choice to deny yourself when you're already underweight. Why would you do that? You know, he could literally have eaten fish and chips on the scale as he was standing there and still made weight. All right, here we go with Chris Eubank making his way to the ring. Wearing a tan robe with a white collar. Kind of interesting to me that both these guys chose to wear the sort of traditional boxing robe type outfit to enter the ring. Although I don't know if Eubank Jr.'s wearing some sort of leatherish sheepskin type thing. So he's gonna walk out to his dad's song? That's funny. Senior, certainly this has to get his blood pumping again, because that was his walkout song. Alright, I'm getting a lot of bots here. Alright, so we have junior and senior standing in front of the musicians. Looks like we got strings. Senior certainly gesturing to the camera. Junior looks like he's trying to stay warmed up. Come on, producer. Interesting how the producer chose to include both fathers in this walkout, so-called walkout performance production. Sorry guys, I do not recognize this song. Do you? It's a soft, slow song. I can't really hear it so well. I could do without this part. Oh, I see. Well, they really went all out with live musicians, including live string section, keyboard. I see. Okay, so he has a Union Jack kind of emblazoned on the entire back of his robe. Well, it's quite the fashion statement. Certainly appropriate from the son of Chris Eubank Sr. And boy, both men just taking it in. Stadium is packed to the gills, all three tiers it looks like. So it's always interesting to me when certain fighters choose to walk out to like a rap song or something that hard, because this guy didn't grow up with a hard life. So in any case, maybe this is a song he needs to get himself hyped up. So Chris Eubank Jr. finally at the ring, his dad right behind him. Makes me wonder if there was ever really any sort of animosity or bad blood between them, and or if Senior just figured he'd troll the public via social media, get more eyeballs on all the publicity for this fight. If he did, it worked, because it got quite a few people sort of commenting on their relationship. All right, so for whatever reason, Eubank Sr. goes over and gives Conor Benn a little hug. And he gives Nigel Benn a hug. Stephen is saying, L is saying a sad fight was Nigel Benn versus Gerald McClellan. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think both Benn and Eubank separately, you know, because Eubank Sr. Fought, was that Michael Watson, who is, thank goodness, not in bad shape as Gerald McClellan, but you know, both men are too well aware firsthand of what can go wrong in that squared circle. Yeah, you know, don't even really like to think about that. But in the case of Michael Watson, that was certainly due to a delay in getting him medical help. I'm not sure what it was for Gerald McClellan. Probably a similar thing. Eubank Sr. talking in his son's ear from behind. Hey EQ, good to see you. We're just about to start Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Both men are in the ring. Michael Buffer is making the announcements. Who do you guys have in this fight? I think so far we got two viewers going for Chris Eubank, one viewer going for Conor Benn. I'm gonna go for Conor Benn. If you guys heard my breakdown or watched my breakdown, I kind of explained why. Now, I have to admit, that was before the weigh-in, so the weigh-in does make me question some of the decisions made by Conor Benn's team, but, you know, at this point, it's too late. I'm gonna hope that Conor Benn chose to bring himself in marvelous shape, and he just sort of said, hey, I'm in such terrific shape, I don't care about the weight difference. I hope that's the case, because he's gonna need to be in terrific shape. And the crowd gives a round of applause and acknowledgement of Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Both men deserve acknowledgement. Those are some amazing fights. Not just for British boxing, for boxing period, you know. So 15 minutes past the hour. It's taking a while for Michael Buffer to get through the announcements. Here he goes with his "Let's Get Ready to Rumble." All right, Conor Benn is fighting in the red corner. 156.5 pounds, but that was including that gold necklace that probably weighed half a pound. Benn being announced, he acknowledges the crowd. So they're going to hold Chris Eubank Jr. accountable for that 0.05 pounds. Steven is saying, remember, is it Miles Lane? Let's get it on. Yeah, I remember that. That was a cool catchphrase. Chris Eubank being announced. All right, anybody else care to weigh in before this fight gets started? All right. Cornermen finally putting on a little bit of grease on each of their fighters. Nebula from New Zealand is saying, get Benn by late stoppage. Okay, interesting. So we're kind of divided on this pretty evenly. Size difference is pretty apparent. Both fighters come to center ring. The live crowd seems to be going pretty wild. I guess we do have the Ring magazine belt on the line here. All right, so now we got 3 people for Eubank, 2 people for Benn. And it's on. Benn making very athletic moves here. Goes straight to it. Doesn't even wait to just work his jab. Comes for a jab right hand. Right there again with his overhand right. Nice little bob and weave by Benn. Good power jabs by Chris Eubank. Eubank with that characteristic low right hand, or low lead hand rather. Though he is carrying it a little bit higher. Benn just animated with these hard jabs to the body. Nice weaves underneath Eubank's jab. Benn with very nice use of his footwork to get in and out. Both men still mostly throwing single jabs here at this point. Okay, they fall into a clinch and both men are trying to hit with their right hand. EQ says, I'm not sure what you're saying here. Said they want the winner against Canelo for his 4th fight with Turkey. Okay. All right, both men back to center ring. Eubank misses with a 1-2. Single jabs from Eubank. Lots of body movement from Conor Benn. Benn with a double jab. Lots of feinting motions with Conor Benn with his upper body, which was to be expected. Nice slip and roll by Conor Benn. He's got to come back with a hard counter shot. If he's going to make those defensive moves. Okay, just under half a minute remaining in this opening round of 12. Okay, Benn missing with that overhand right. But he is trying to set it up with a jab. I'll give him that much. Still bouncing around on his feet. Eubank kind of missing with that left hook. The men exchange a few words right at the end of the round before they head back to their corner. All right, I can't make out the corner work simply because the live crowd is singing along to something, so the background noise is pretty overwhelming. Yeah, I can hear the corner work. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear that on some sort of replay. All right, Hammer. All right, thank you for joining our live. Second round of Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Nice jab lands for Conor Benn. Eubank misses with the sweeping hook, then misses with his right hand. Does look like a bit of a mouse is starting to swell up on Conor Benn's left eye already. All right, Hammer, we're just here to watch this Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn fight. Not here for politics or religion. Still lots of feigning motion with from Conor Benn with his upper body. I mean, if he was doing MMA, that'd be a great setup to shoot in for a double leg takedown. Well, Eubank's starting to open up, throwing multiple jabs, right hand, body shot. Just got caught with a short right counter from Conor Benn, though. Eubank standing his ground. Remember, his trainer, Jonathan Banks, said, you don't have to move. You don't have to chase anybody. Let them come to you. So Eubank does look like he's trying to stand his ground and come back with counter punches. Jab to the body by Chris Eubank. Benn comes with a leaping left hook. Misses with that overhand right. He's got to set up that overhand right if he wants that overhand right to land. Oh, nice jab by Conor Benn. Followed up by some dipping motions. Nice up jab by Conor Benn. Power jab by Eubank lands. And again, but from Eubank. Oh, nice jab by Conor Benn. Thus far, the men are just exchanging at most single punches. Again, Benn's missing with that overhand right. That could prove to be fatal if Eubank times it and comes with a counter over the top. Just under 30 seconds left here in this second round. Eubank now fighting with that lead hand quite low, as is his wont. I think Conor Benn's corner's asking him to come back with the right hand when he rolls under Chris Eubank's punch. I can't be certain. To his credit, in spite of giving away that much size, Conor Benn is landing. He's just got to be careful that he doesn't get countered. Eubank Sr. is gesturing from his seat ringside. Here we go with the third round. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Eubank opening up with a little more action now. Some double, triple jabs and right hand. Conor Benn still able to maintain quite a rapid pace with his upper body movement and footwork. Then fall into a clinch, ref separates him. Warns Eubank about the rabbit punches. Single jab from Benn. He misses with the right hand, then he comes back one more time with a 1-2 and is able to land that right hand. All right, does anybody want to do the role of moderator to delete all these bot messages? Sorry guys, my stream froze there for a second. All right, we have the men back in the middle of the ring. Conor Benn doing lots of gesturing. Eubank just basically peering at him, holding center of the ring. Eubank with a nice jab to the body, then jab to the head. Conor Benn trying to come with a counter right hand as he moves to his right. Benn using lots of herky-jerky upper body movements to try to feint out Eubank, and he has Eubank miss with a left hook. Oh. All right, Conor misses with a punch. Chris sinks down, grabs around his waist, and takes him down to the canvas. Not MMA though, so it doesn't count for anything. All right, here we go. Back to center ring. Conor Benn fighting like the smaller man. It's a smart tactic. If you're a smaller person, you should get even smaller, which is what he's doing. Makes it such that Chris Eubank has to punch down at him. Eubank with a double jab to the body. Nice. Another power jab from Chris Eubank lands. And that's the round. So in theory, you know, Chris Eubank could actually win this whole fight simply by using his jab. Well, it kind of depends where his mindset is as to whether he wants to just eke out a point decision or he wants to, knock out Conor Benn. All right, next week is a big week. You mean May 2nd? So, EQ, who are you going for? Give us names. At this point, I would say Conor Benn is landing more of the harder shots, but the thing is, if Eubank is able to continually apply his power jab, he could just eke out a win over the duration of these rounds, particularly if Conor Benn starts to get tired and can't keep up all of this upper body movement as well as the footwork. All right, Chris Eubank with a guillotine grip, and the ref moves them apart. Conor Benn with lots of side-to-side upper body motion. Oh, nice 2-body shot. 3-punch combination for Eubank, but then he does that celebration of his right hand again. Oh, nice counter from Conor Benn as Eubank comes in with that right uppercut. That's Eubank, one of Eubank's favorite punches, so if Conor Benn can take that from him, that's quite something. All right, Chris Eubank with a jab right hand to the body. They fall into a clinch, and Benn wants to hit him with the kidney punches. It's starting to turn up into a fight. 4th round of 12. Nebula's asking if Eubank is ahead at this point. I wouldn't say so. Let's hope Benn is in good shape to keep this fight exciting. Absolutely. It was always imperative to him, and hopefully he started camp knowing that he has to be in better shape than he's ever been in his life for this fight. All right, now Benn fighting with his lead hand low and his catcher's mid of a right hand close to, waiting to parry. Eubank with a power jab, then comes right back with his own power jab. A little bit of a lull in the action here as both men size each other up. Benn now trying to open up with the right uppercut of his own. Eubank trying to go back down to the body with his power jab. The men clinch up. Eubank with 2 underhooks. Ref separates them. Ref warns Eubank not to hold. Gosh, is Eubank looking a little bit tired? Looks like Benn just landed a nice hard counter shot, and this looks like that might have been the second time I've seen Chris Eubank's knees wobble ever just so slightly. Oh, nice counter right hand by Conor Benn. Good power jab by Chris, but Benn returns the favor with his own power jab. Lots of herky-jerky motions from Benn at this point. Herky-jerky with the hands, with the head, with his guard changes. If Benn could just straighten out his right hand just a shade, it would actually land. Let's see. So EQ saying Canelo, Ryan, you know his ex-wife, Ramirez, okay, and Barbosa, okay. Let's see. Not the guy against Inoue. Not sure if he's Mexican, but he's gonna lose. Oh, Cardena or something. Right, yeah, that's kind of a gimme fight, I think. It's just like, I don't know what the heck that's about. In order to lure Inoue over to Las Vegas, I don't know. You would think they would give him a bigger name fight, but I think they know that they can fill the stands with Inoue versus anybody, so that's what they're doing. As Dana White says, it's always a going out of business sale, so they know. When they know they got such a strong A side that it doesn't matter who the B side is, they just put in whoever. All right, ref is having a word with both fighters before we start the next round. Round 5. Conor Benn, lots of level changes, but they fall into a clinch. Benn takes 2 underhooks. Eubank has the overhooks. Ref separates them. We're back at it. Middle of the ring. Conor Benn tumbles to the floor off of the slip. It looks, well, the ref didn't call it a knockdown, so. Back to center ring. Again, they fall into a clinch. Oh, Eubank lands a little nice short right. Benn right back at it with the flurry of body shots into the clinch. Eubank with a series of hard jabs to the body and to the head. Benn comes back with his own, and they fall into a clinch once again. Oh, Eubank's starting to open up with body shots now. All right, Benn is going to have to make more use of his feints at this point. Oh, very elusive body movement by Benn. But if he's going to do that, he needs to come right back with a hard counter shot. Oh, sorry guys, my stream just froze up. Okay, we've got just under a minute to go here in the 5th round. Both men eyeing each other up again. Conor Benn lands with a lead left hook. Kind of leaping. Again, he misses with a right hand to the body. A little bit too loopy with that right hand. Eubank charges in with a 1-2 and misses with that also. 30 seconds remaining. Conor Benn still with that herky-jerky upper body movement. Footwork in and out. Another lead left from Conor Benn. Nice little left hook by Chris Eubank. Nice power job by Eubank, and he makes a nice evasive defensive move. Nice work by both fighters in that I feel like they're kind of living up to what they can do the best, you know. Like I said, neither one is an A+ fighter, but they're putting forth their best effort, and that seems apparent to me. Frank says my stream keeps freezing up too, like always it does with DAZN. DAZN is trash. All right, is that the case? I don't know. I don't really subscribe to DAZN, but yeah, you would think they would get it together for these big fights, but I guess I don't know if that's technology, if that's a function of how many people are tuned in. Guys, I have no idea who was just flashed on camera there, sitting ringside. I don't know if I should know them. All right, if you haven't done so yet, please make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button and hit the notification bell. Here we go with the Eubank Conor Benn fight. Both men right back at it in the center of the ring. We are just past the midway point now. We are in the 6th round. No letting up in the vehemence and the pace here. Standing center of the ring. Eubank back with a jab to the body. Conor Benn tries to come in with a leaping left hook, but doesn't quite connect. Conor Benn still feinting with his upper body, does a nice little weave under. Men fall into a clinch. The ref separates them. Hopefully he doesn't deduct a point from either man, because you don't want that to determine the outcome of the fight. Back to center ring. Eubank with a nice power jab. Conor Benn is starting to miss a little bit with his right hands and his left hooks, but to his credit, he repositions himself really well and comes right back. Back to center ring. Eubank with his power jab and then hook off the jab. Another power jab from Eubank. Oh, very nice right uppercut from Eubank, his sort of signature punch that he weaves under Conor Benn's right hand. So it looks like Chris Eubank is starting to get a little bit of a feel now. Conor Benn is really going to have to either find another gear or find a little bit of a change up here. Again, Conor Benn misses with that right hand. Benn with a jab to the body. Breaking to the right and the left. That's Conor. I do like his defensive skill set. Who do you guys have ahead in this fight? Oh, nice attempt at a counter right by Conor Benn, but he gets countered with a jab from Eubank. Again, Conor Benn missing with that overhand right. Eubank with his jab to the head and then jab to the body. And these are all single jabs, mind you, but at least he's throwing them. Fall into a clinch, and ref warns Chris for hitting behind the head. He says, "Hey, I'm getting elbowed." And ref admonishes him, saying, "No, no, no." All right, and that's the round. So getting a little bit chippy, as the British would say. Iki says, "Do I think Conor's too small?" Well, I mean, he is. He's in the wrong weight division, but he knew that before he even took the fight. So I don't want to say it's a moot point, but he took this fight knowing that he was going to be the smaller guy, and he just figured he had a game plan or the skill set to beat the bigger man. So I can't give him that point. You know what I mean? His best weapon, if he feels his best weapon is that overhand right, well, he's been constantly missing with it. So he and his camp should have figured that out, should have fine-tuned that a little bit better. All right, here we go, 7th round. I think Conor Benn's going to have to step on the gas and really pick the volume up and not make any big errors for the remaining rounds if he wants to get a decision here. All right off the bat, the men fall into a clinch. Here we go. Here's what gets chippy, because both men are trying to hold, refs trying to break them apart, and they're still continuing to fight. Ref really admonishes Chris Eubank again. Right, nice jab from Chris Eubank to a left hook. Oh, again, Conor misses with that overhand right and gets countered with a right uppercut from Chris Eubank. That's exactly what he cannot afford to do. Okay, nice weave under by Conor Benn to his right, but he didn't throw anything after that. Again, he comes in with a lead overhand right and misses. Oh, goodness. Okay, Eubank is starting to take this fight over. He lands a good power jab that knocks Conor Benn's head back. This is going to be a real test for Conor Benn. Conor Benn, nice attempt at a left hook. Again, he misses with that right hand. I really wish they had drilled that with a little more accuracy. There are drills you can do for that. Jab, right uppercut from Eubank. He's starting to feel his money punch. Another jab lands for Chris Eubank. Benn comes back with a left hook. Okay, at this point, Benn is standing at the end of Chris Eubank's punches, which is not where he should be at all. He knows that he needs to get inside. So he needs to use that body movement to get down low and get inside. He's trying to do that, but I realize that Chris Eubank is then sort of clinching up. So right here, that's where Benn needs to have the fight, right on the inside. You have under a minute to go in the 7th round here. All right, so Benn's corner, I think, needs to tell him to come back with something after that right hand, whether it lands or not. There we go. Okay. More rabbit punching from Chris Eubank. Eubank opens up with a left body shot and a right body shot. A classic Eubank unconventional move. Eubank back to his power jabs to Conor's head. Nice weave under move by Conor, but he's got to come back with a counter punch after that. The right hand lands for Conor, but they fall into a clinch. Exchanges words right at the end of that round. All right, Benn's corner's got to do something to revive him here. Okay, I think at this stage of the game, Chris Eubank has started to get a read on Conor Benn. Conor hasn't quite gotten the feel for where his overhand right is. So that's a bit of a problem for him. Because I think he considers that one of his best assets. So the thing is, hopefully this corner will tell him, hey, throw the left hook after you throw that right hand, whether it's a left hook to the head or a left hook to the body. Here we go with round 8. Center of the ring. Nice straight right lands for Conor Benn this time, as well as a right uppercut. Eubank lands a 1-2. Misses with the 1-2, and they fall into a clinch once again. Again, clenched up. Oh, right there, Conor Benn should have come back sooner with that left hook after he weaved under. Really nice defensive head motion and upper body motion from Conor Benn, but he needs to capitalize on that. Nebula's saying, damn, I hope Benn would get the win. Yeah, I know, at this point he's not winning this fight. Nice right uppercut by Chris Eubank. Lead left by Conor Benn. Now he's starting to put those punches together. He's missing with his hooks, so he needs to keep throwing punches after he misses. Benn using his footwork to evade Chris Eubank. But that's not the fight he needs to fight to win this, if he wants to try to win this. Oh, Benn eats a hard power jab from Chris Eubank, as well as a left hook. They fall into a clinch, and both men try to punch with their free hand. Chris Eubank starting to take this fight from Conor Benn. Under a minute to go here in the 8th round. Oh, good right hand by Conor Benn. Good left hook. Live crowd is really enjoying this. Both men are falling into a clinch, but they're game fighters. Let's see Eddie and Turkey ringside. All right, the stream just froze up again. Waiting. Sorry, guys. Oh, I can't believe this isn't mine. So it looks like, to me, Chris Eubank is pulling away with this win. At this point, Conor Benn needs to come back with something really dramatic if he wants to win this fight. Sorry for the delay. Trying to get this stream to work again. EQ says, no worries, I'm just here for you. Appreciate that. I'm like your ASMR. Okay, that's very cool. Oh boy. This is always annoying when the stream freezes up like this. Sorry for the delay, you guys. Wow, this is really taking a long time to reload. Okay, here we go. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Looks like, okay, we are now in the 9th round. Back to the center of the ring. Conor Benn to Chris Eubank. Sorry, my stream is just, this is horrible. Okay, we have about a minute and a half left in this 9th round of 12. Again, they fall into a clinch. I don't know if there's just too many people watching this. Is that why? All right, Eubank getting a good little short right on the inside. Conor, to his credit, is getting in some good body shots on the inside. Good little short left hook by Conor Benn, but Chris Eubank is also getting in nice little short hooks on the inside. Sorry guys, my stream is still freezing up like every 2 seconds. It's really horrible. I'm trying to find another stream. I'll see. All right, so we're about to head into the 10th round, I think. Showing us the replay. Conor Benn landing a nice little left hook on the inside. Oh, Chris Eubank with some nice body shots. We are in round 10 of Eubank versus Benn, and it looks to me like Chris Eubank is eking out a W, or not eking out a W, he's getting the W here. EQ says, hey, my brother sells those modified fire sticks. Oh, okay. That's funny. All right. They're both falling into a clinch again. Eubank with a nice 1-2. Drives Conor Benn back to the ropes. Yeah, I have a funny feeling it's going to be a little bit too little too late for Conor Benn. On the inside, both men try to punch with their free hand as they clinch up with their other arm. Conor Benn trying to counter off of Chris Eubank's jab, but again, it's just not enough because as soon as he does that, they fall into a clinch. It almost feels at this point that Conor Benn needs a one-punch KO if he wants to get the win in this fight, which is not a good position to be in. All right, under a minute in this 10th round. Conor Benn up against the ropes momentarily, tries to get a body shot in there, tries to get a little left hook in there. But Eubank, of course, we know he likes those nice little uppercuts to the head. This is a perfect spot for him to deploy those weapons. Eubank is kind of looking a little bit worse for wear. Not sure if this is fatigue setting in or...
It's 15 hours.
All right, Benn landing some very decent right hands and left hooks that last 10th round, as well as a nice liver shot. But Eubank came back with a nice little right on the inside. The camera's cutting to a very happy Nigel Benn cheering his son on. Turkey's conferring with both Frank Warren and Ben Shalom. Cut back to the action in the ring about to start here. Both men meeting center ring. Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Right, Conor with underhooks, Chris with overhooks. Chris with a jab right body shot, and then Ben comes back with a flurry to the body, then upstairs. And to his credit, Ben must be in absolutely superb shape to be able to throw punches at this pace in these late rounds. Ben is going to have to try to figure out a way to keep Chris from just clinching up on him, so he can continue to work. Eubank with a jab right to the body. Nice weave under by Chris Eubank. Conor Benn still with that herky-jerky feinting motion, but he gets caught with two of Chris Eubank's power jabs. Oh, nice left uppercut, right hand by Chris, and then he switches. Now he's really opening up with his favorite punches, which are those two uppercuts. Conor Benn clinching up on this right overhook, right body shot. To his credit, Conor's trying to punch when he can, in spite of being in so close and clenched up. Again, he's taking that overhook. This is a real toe-to-toe tear-up here in the 11th round with about a minute to go. Boxing fans have to be loving this. Eubank with his uppercuts and flurry of hooks on the inside. Benn continues to let his hands go too. All right, they're clinched up. Ref separates them. Conor tries to counter with a right hand. He's landing shots, but he really needs a much bigger shot if he's gonna win this fight. Which at this point, I think, unfortunately for Conor Benn, he needs a KO. Conor Benn with 3 body shots, and then he comes upstairs. So to his credit, he is in terrific shape to be able to continue this at this pace at this later rounds. Ref separates them. Fans are on their feet, as well they should be, because both men are giving it all. They're leaving it all in the ring. Again, I would love to see the replay and hear the corner work, because unfortunately I cannot hear it. We're getting ready for the 12th and final round. I have Chris Eubank ahead on the scorecard, but he is looking a little bit tired at the moment. Breathing hard, mouth open. In the corner, that is. Looks like his cut man is trying to close a cut over the right eyebrow. I think everyone's on the feet for this 12th and final round between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. The men touch gloves, and we're the final round here. Eubank opening up with some lead left hooks. He misses. They fall into a clinch. Oh, Eubank lands with 3. Then they're standing toe-to-toe with Conor Benn against the ropes. Both men just letting their hands go. I think they both know this is it. Eubank with a chopping little right hand. Left hook by Conor Benn. Eubank is also letting his hands go. Those uppercuts that he loves so much. It's almost as if both men are just running that drill. They know that this is it. They got to leave it all in the ring. 2 minutes to go here. They're back to the center ring, toe-to-toe. Ref tries to separate them from the clinch. Conor misses with a 1-2. As they're tied up, he tries to sneak in a little left hook on the inside. Again, the ref tries to separate him. Both men banging to the body, then coming back upstairs to the head. Chris Eubank with a nice 4-punch combination. 2 to the body, 2 to the head. Oh, an unrelentless Chris Eubank catches Conor Benn with a hard left hook. Benn wisely clinches up a little bit here. Separates them. Chris Eubank, it looks to me like he's just throwing punches, and at the same exact tempo, he's just gonna keep throwing until he hears that final bell. We've got just under a minute to go. Chris Eubank has Conor Benn in the corner. They get a little caught up. Eubank looks absolutely spent. How is he even standing up? Yet he manages to throw his hands here. Nice left uppercut lands for him. Conor Benn trying to use that upper body movement, but he's absorbing shots from Chris Eubank. Incredible 12th round here. Oh, Eubank misses with a hard left hook. Conor clenches up on his arm. You got 15 seconds left here. Conor trying with a hard overhand right to the left body shot. Good choice of punches, but it's a little bit too late. And everyone is on their feet applauding both warriors. Oh, big hard lead left hook to a short right hand on the inside. And that's it, folks. Chris Eubank raises his hands in victory. I think he gets the nod in this. I think the unofficial scorecard had Benn ahead by 1 point, and Benn's corner is putting them up on their shoulders, or is that his promoter? I can't tell. Both men elevated here. Oh no, that's Conor Benn's dad, has him up on his shoulders. Eubank Sr. goes over to give Conor some acknowledgement. The men hug up. Eubank Sr. and Conor Benn Jr. We have Chris Eubank. Now Ben comes over to acknowledge Chris Eubank. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? So, the viewer's verdict, according to Sky Sports, the viewer's verdict has it a draw. So this will be interesting to see how this falls out. What do you guys say? Is it a draw? Do you have Chris up, or do you have Conor up? Nebula, yeah, it was a good fight. You're very welcome for doing the live stream. Frank says, good fight, and yeah, I agree. Eubank should get this for sure. Lots of respect for Conor Benn's effort for giving it to him, but giving it to him seems ridiculous to me. It's interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. It's very hard to give him the fight. I think it could be a close decision victory for Chris Eubank. I mean, to say what if from the outside, but I think Conor Benn, if he had been able to just connect with a few of his overhand rights, that could have changed the outcome. All right, guys, I cannot hear the scores being announced. Apologize. And my stream is freezing up, of course. All right, so it seems like we kind of agree that this should go to Chris Eubank. Sorry guys, my stream is still frozen. Did they just give this to Conor Benn? I guess not. So it looks like he got the decision. Well, yeah, it looks like the decision went to Chris Eubank. Hold on. 116, 112 all the way around. So that means 8 rounds to 4. Am I doing my math right? Yeah, it was a really good fight, Anthony. I agree with you. I want to hear like not behind the scenes, but I do want to hear the post fight on this. Would love to hear from both corners, both fighters. Trying to listen in on the post fight interview right now. Let's see if I can catch that. And for getting the W, Chris Eubank looks somewhat spent, does he not? Jim says, I got it, the weight helped a lot, although Ben did much better than expected after a long time off. I agree. You know, the thing is, as I said beforehand, I was a little perplexed as to why Team Benn decided to come in that much underweight, knowing full well that they're already giving away size. So, but it is what it is. Okay, here we go. Eubank admits that he underestimated Conor Benn. Conor Benn hugging up his dad. His father is saying that he couldn't move around the ring, so he had to stand toe to toe. Chris Benn says Rastafari at the end of what he has to say to the reporter. Gotta love him. Very emotional. Conor says he felt it was close. Conor Benn acknowledges that Chris Eubank is a good fighter. So calling Mario Barrios or a rematch with Chris Eubank. Yeah, that was a great fight, no matter what. Jim says if this fight had happened a year ago, the fight would have ended differently. Nigel admits that he felt his son was working a little bit too much on the ropes. Very disappointed looking Conor Benn, taking his first loss. I can understand that. You know, all things in all, that was a great fight. I mean, in terms of both men coming to fight every single moment of every single round. So I have to give that to them. Eddie's saying, of course, he felt Conor Benn, his fighter, he felt won, but he said he could not be prouder of him. And we see the fighters exiting the ring. Yeah, I can't imagine the feeling in that stadium right now. It must be electric. It was a fantastic fight, guys. If you didn't see the entire fight, make sure you watch back the replay. Turkey Al Sheikh will show the entire fight on his channel. You definitely want to subscribe to his channel. Of course, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel too, but definitely you should subscribe to Turkey's channel. There'll be a bit of a delay, but he will post the whole fight. So if you can be patient enough to wait for that, this is definitely a fight that I want to rewatch because I would love to see it without the stalls that we had during this streaming. I would also love if I could hear the corner work between rounds, because I would love to know what each corner was saying to their fighter in the second half of the fight.
Absolutely, Tasha. How did you have it? Yeah, I agree with Johnny. I think Eubank was slightly ahead. Probably wouldn't have it 4 rounds. But yeah, I think the right person won. And I think sometimes in defeat, your stock can still raise. And I think Ben's done that tonight. I think he showed a lot of heart.
So here's the thing. I think both men won in that they both gained my respect. I started out by saying neither one of these guys is an A-class fighter. And that's okay because they both came to fight, and they both showed us that they're, as much as they grew up as I don't want to call them spoiled, but they grew up without having to scrap for life's necessities, right? They grew up well, and that didn't take away from their willingness to come into the ring and give it their all in a real, as the Brits call it, a real tear-up, right? So, yeah, I think both fighters must have gained the respect of fight fans. So Johnny Nelson is giving Conor Benn props for being able to maintain such a high pace. All right, guys, share the rest of your thoughts on this Conor Benn Chris Eubank fight. Those of you who were here watching with us, Chris Eubank won the fight, 116, 112 all around. Some folks might think that's a little bit too wide, but I think overall we did believe that Chris Eubank won that fight. Jim says Benn both had something to prove. Absolutely. And you know what? They both did. I think they both established themselves as legit fighters now, by being willing to put themselves through that for 12 rounds. There's no arguing with that. They're showing us now a replay of the live commentators, live Sky Sport commentators. Very exciting. Am I streaming next week, all 3 days? Man, EQ, show some love. Show some love up there at the super chat. Well, I'll see what I can stream. I don't know if I'm gonna do In a Way, and I do want to do Ryan versus Rolly. honestly, I'm not as interested in Devin, and I'm not as interested in Teofimo. But I guess I'll probably do them anyways. What else are you thinking of, EQ? All right, guys. Final thoughts on Conor, Benn, Chris Eubank. It's been over 2 hours, so I want to wrap it up. I am going to see about checking a few hours for the UFC. I'm specifically interested in the main event. I kind of don't want to see Anthony Smith. Feel bad for him, but I mean, I am a fan. That's why I don't want to see him take any more punishment. Okay, let's see. Trying to catch the post fight here. Jim is saying that will be a very good card in New York. Yeah, the other, if you check out some of my shorts, I was a little bit concerned that there's only 3 fights on that card. The reason being, should a fight fall off, the whole card is in jeopardy. Not my rule, that's New York State Athletic Commission's rule. There's a minimum number of rounds, so that's what happens. If a 10-rounder, 12-rounder falls off, you may fall below the minimum number of rounds. Right, Dynamic Entry saying, what a great fight that was. Absolutely. Dynamic Entry is saying both fighters were all in there. Yeah, for sure. They left it all in the ring. So we couldn't ask for any more from them. Conor, Benn was rapid. Yeah, I can't, Johnny Nelson was saying he couldn't believe Conor, Benn was able to keep up that pace. All right, guys, if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell, hit the like. If you're in a generous mood this weekend, please feel free to leave a super chat or super thanks. Join the channel so you get early access to our fight breakdowns, and you can get access to some of the members only content. All right. Bill is saying, who do I have between Gary and Pratchett? I'm definitely going for Pratchett. I don't like Ian Gary. I think he's I won't say he's a liar, but I think there's some untruths that have been that he's put forth about himself in terms of his own resume. EQ is saying, thanks for the stream. I'll hit you with a super chat next week. I'm a little short this week. Oh, appreciate it. I'll also renew the membership when it expires. Thank you so much. That more members we have, I think it helps the algorithm. I think once we get maybe 8 color belts, YouTube will finally show your icons on the channel banner thing. I mean, I've clicked for that to happen and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm thinking maybe people have to be a member for more than a month. Jim FC is saying Gary is embarrassing. Yeah, it's not cool to say that you're more popular than in Brazil. Like, that's just an ignorant thing to say, I think. Because you're insulting that person and you're insulting that person's home country. Like, just, leave that one alone. And it's probably, again, not true. Like, you're probably not more popular than Pratchett is in Brazil. I mean, Pratchett has such a sort of heartfelt backstory, and that I can't remember if he said his father passed away when he was very young, so he was raised by a single mom who works as a teacher. Yeah, it's just like she did everything she could to help him stay out of trouble, and that's how he got into fighting and martial arts. So, yeah, you gotta love the fighting nerds. I just think it's funny too that they went that direction, right? They're like, okay, we're just gonna call ourselves the fighting nerds, like enough of this macho posturing that goes along with the fight game, right? Everyone wants to take their picture after practice. All the guys take their shirt off and they flex, and these are guys, no, we're fighting nerds, and they put the glasses on with the tape. I think it's just a refreshing take. Stephen Z says, Conor, Benn really surprised me. He was dwarfed by Eubank. Didn't think he would be able to withstand. Yeah, I mean, it's if if you all things considered that he's fighting up a weight division, um, you got to say, hey, he did amazingly considering the size difference. Ellis Blog says, sorry I came late. No worries, fight's over. I guess you heard Chris Eubank won, unanimous decision, 6-12, 116 to 112, 8 rounds to 4 for Chris Eubank. But either way, even if you dispute that, those of us who watch this live would agree that Chris Eubank did indeed win that fight. All right, guys, it's been over 2 hours. I am going to sign off. You can always leave a comment. This live takes YouTube forever to actually post, so you can't post here, but you could post on, I made a bunch of other Conor, Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. videos, so if you have any other thoughts, you can post a comment underneath one of those. I'll see it and get back to you. Liam is saying, who watched Eubank versus Benn? We all did right here, I think. So, yeah, please comment on my other videos about Chris Eubank and Conor, Benn. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit the notifications so you know when I go live for tonight's UFC main event. Not that interested in the undercard, so I may tune in for just the main event. Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates. All right, you guys. Please always feel free to leave a super thanks or head over to buymeacoffee.com. Every little bit helps. Also, if you'd like to support our channel and acquire something for yourself, you can check out the My Art playlist. There's a link there that will take you to a website where you can see more of my art. Finally, if you want to get something for yourself and support the channel, you can always head over to our merch store. The little images that show up underneath the videos will take you to the store. Of course, there's many more colors and items than what's displayed there, so once you get to the store, you can browse around, find something you like. Liam is asking, am I watching boxing and UFC? I'm subbing. Yeah, we just finished the live stream of Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor, Benn, and I will do another live later on for the UFC main event. All right, guys, it's going on for 2 hours and 20 minutes, so I'm going to sign off. Got to take a break. I will see you in the next one. Thank you all for joining. Really appreciate you.